Shanti. Hello, God. Hello, Dolly. Hello, everyone. Hello, Zoomers. Hello, Eric. Brother Eric is waving. Hello, sister. My name is Michelle. I am your MC tonight. I'm very happy to be here, and I really love that song. I don't think I've ever heard that song. Can you believe it? And I like Dolly Parton. Where'd that song go? I like that. Thank you. So, hello, God. What do you do when the world needs help? When souls are calling out? And the call is often to God. Save us. How could this be happening? And some people actually say, God must be punishing us for our acts. I remember reading that a long time ago. It was during a very bad hurricane season in Florida. And this sect of a religion actually said that God was punishing Florida with hurricanes because of Florida's collective sins. I couldn't believe it, that everybody, innocent people, whatever, because God was sending them a message. I never bought that. Expressions like act of God for natural calamities, I think really, if I was still a legislator, I'd change it. Not an act of God. Just how the world works, as we say, we have seasons, and if you came before, that's the natural way of fixing things. Although I have to say, as human beings, we take advantage of the planet and Earth, this is my editorial, and kind of stir things up a little bit. But on a personal note, I believe that God does listen, and he genuinely feels sorrow when we feel sorrow. So what do you think? Does God listen? Does he hear our pleas? There was an expression that I thought of right away. There are no atheists in foxholes, suggesting that people, even atheists who deny the existence of God, turn to their faith or a higher power in times of extreme danger or stress. But when I noted, and what I liked is an author said that maxim, there are no atheists in foxholes, is really an argument against foxholes. Not about God. It's about foxholes and the things that we do. So that being said, tonight's discussion, I'm really looking forward to. It should be very interesting. And with that, we are going to ask Sister Anjani. How many of you is this first time here? Welcome. Should have asked that right off the bat. You I know. Hello. And Zoomers, hello, welcome. So Sister Anjani is actually the director of this Global Harmony House, and she has been in, we call knowledge, or practicing Raja Yoga meditation for over 40 years. And we welcome her. We are in for a very insightful and full-body discussion, and I myself am going to be listening closely about what this subject is. Om Shanti, and happy spring, happy almost April. Shanti.
The greeting we use here is Om Shanti. And so Om Shanti means I am a very peaceful soul. I am a being of light, the soul. And the being is peaceful. So wasn't that song interesting? Hello, God. Donald, what do you think? It was definitely different. But don't you feel this is what's the sound out there? Hello, God, where are you? Hello, God, what are you doing? Hello, God, I really need you now. We need God more than ever. But it's interesting, this topic, time speaks, and who listens? God listens. It was a topic just came up one day in my mind, it's not like I really went into thinking about it. And it's like time has been speaking for a very long time. And where is God? Where is God? Everyone is calling out for God. Everyone is having their prayers to Him. I think something I remember Ronnie mentioned this morning about Lent. So in the Christian faith. So all these things are happening. And where is God? And so I was thinking about what time means for me. And when I look back, I was thinking time is of the past, the present, and the future. If time has to speak, time will say, I'm the past, I'm the present, and I'm the future. But can time plays without human beings? Time has a connection with us. Time has a connection with nature. Time has a connection with everything that's happening here in this world. Because every second that the clock ticks, it's speaking a language that if we listen carefully, if we look carefully, there is some signal from it. And so time is speaking all the time. It doesn't stop. And yet, the story of time is our story. The story that each one of us, we have created in our lives. Because the present is nothing more than our past. There was a time in the past when the world was a very beautiful place, and we call that heaven, paradise on earth. It was so beautiful. But it was a time. Stories, when one has to tell a story, they say, once upon a time. So once upon a time, the same planet Earth was in its most beautiful state. Human beings knew how to live. They lived with love. They lived seeing each other in that consciousness, which was the highest consciousness of everyone as light, living lights. And time keeps ticking away. And we moved into times where we have descended and we have reached now at this time, this point in time, where when we look back or we look at this present moment, what we're seeing in the world, what we're seeing in our own lives. Happy thoughts, happy life, peaceful lives, happy world, peaceful world. What do we see? What are we seeing today? And imagine that what we're seeing today was created by those who lived in time. And so time is speaking. And so where is God? Why didn't He listen to when everyone started praying to Him and calling for Him and talking to Him? Where was He? And so if we look at the present time, many will believe that it's the time for darkness, the time of darkness, the time of injustice, the time when there is no truth. So which means it's a time of falsehood. And so as I said, who created it? Did we create it consciously? We didn't create it anything consciously. And this is why many people ask for free will. when we talk about the story of karma, or the lesson that we teach here in meditation on karma. And we talk about karma and destiny. And one of the questions people will ask, well, what about free will? Everyone has free will. But do we like our free will when in the moment of that free will, I didn't write a beautiful story for myself? I wrote a story of giving sorrow to someone, which in turn gave me sorrow. And I call that free will. So if I have to think of free will, I have to think from a place of truth, not from a place of darkness, not from a place of injustice. I can't be giving sorrow to others and calling that free will. And so today's present, the experiences of this present, is very tragic in a way, because there is so much pain, there is so much suffering. And, it's like glancing your vision across the world and hearing the call of the hearts of souls. One moment, someone could be laughing. The next moment, there is pain and sorrow in the heart. And so with all these scenes that's playing out, it tells us that the times are of great need for humanity to make a shift, for humanity to make a change in consciousness. And so I was really feeling that, looking at how everything is like a descent, it's a decline. It's not an ascending. If you look back 5 years ago, what was the world like 5 years ago? Was there so much sorrow? There was sorrow, there was pain, but it has amplified now. And so it's like as though it's a quick steep, a quick decline that's happening. And humanity is at this point in time not knowing which direction to go in. We can talk about justice and injustice, and we can talk about truth and darkness, or falsehood and light, but what does it mean to me? What does all of this mean to me? If I have to ask myself, where am I in this point in time? Ask yourself this question. Where are you in this point in time? In truth? And if you are in truth, there will not be sorrow. There will not be peacelessness. There will not be anger, but there will be happiness. Because truth means I am in the light. I can't be in darkness and say I am in truth. And so what is this truth? This truth is an awareness. It's a consciousness of ourselves. So it's stepping out of the darkness of time. Because as I said, we have played part a lot with free will and creating a destiny. And so here I am in this point in time. And when I look back, what do I see? And when I look forward, what do I see? The future. And if my future is dependent on my present, what am I creating right now as my future? Because it's like a cycle going on, the past, the present, and the future. And if I'm not consciously aware, and I continue in that thinking of free will without understanding darkness and truth, I'm going to be writing the stories of my life that I wish I never did. Because there is no wisdom in it. So time is speaking, and it's speaking very loudly. And God was observing time. God didn't interact with time because God can't interfere with our free will. He cannot interfere with our free will. And so he observed and he listened, and he cannot interfere in time to do whatever he wants to do, because he's also bound by time in a way. Can you imagine that God cannot interfere with what's happening? He could have done that a long time ago, right? But God has his own time within time, that when he has to play his part is not played where time now interferes. Time will have to listen to God. And we are the ones who participate in time. Whatever we do, we are creating the story in time. Am I making sense? And so the time for God is now. So time and human beings and nature interacted, we can say, for almost the whole cycle of time. And this is where we have reached, and we called for God. And God has a moment when he comes and what he speaks to us and tells us. He can't change time, right? He can't change what we have written in our script, in our stories. But what God does, he teaches us so that we can change and write our new script. We can write a new story. Everyone thinks God is all over. He's everywhere. Wherever you turn, you find God. Right? God is in everyone. Nothing can move without God. And so if nothing can move without God, and humanity is God, then there should be happiness. And this is why there is a clear, not only an understanding, but a clear experience that when time and human being and nature speaks, and when God speaks, what would it look like? And all are very, very powerful. Nature is very powerful. Time is very powerful. Humanity is very powerful. And God is the almighty authority, also very powerful. And we can see the expression of everyone's power. And so when God speaks now, humanity will have to listen. Time will listen. And even Mother Nature will listen. And when and God's language is not to stop what is happening, because that we created. And that's where it's very interesting to think about the past, the present, and the future. And he doesn't interfere. But the language of God is the language of deep wisdom. That when I listen to the soul, to the inner voice in the soul, and listen to that quality of peace, and listening to the quality of love, and listening to from these beautiful space, it is easy to connect with God and to hear the language of God. It is not these ears that will listen and hear God. It is not these eyes that will see God, but it's the inner conscience in the soul that will listen and hear the sound of God. And what would that be? What would that feel like? What would be the experience of that? You know, this song rings in the ears of calling for God. And so if God hears my call and responds, how would he respond? Would I recognize when he responds to me? Would I be able to tell the difference between God and my past, or the things I'm afraid of the future? Would I be able to understand? And like Michelle was saying, people think that in Florida, when there are hurricanes, God punished them. And so if I believe and I think that God is punishing, then I'm not going to be able to hear the language of God or understand that language, because God can never punish anyone. God loves everyone. God cares for everyone. But as I keep saying, he does not interfere. Because I asked for my free will. I asked to do whatever I want to do. And so time allowed it to happen. And so in this moment, think of this moment, it's time for me to listen to God. It's time for me to recognize that listening to God means I am moving from the outer consciousness to the inner consciousness. The outer consciousness is the consciousness which is physical, and we say body consciousness. I'm connected to everything which is physical. And whatever we connect with, which is physical, is it giving us happiness, or is it at some point bringing us sorrow? Today, I will be very happy with this. There's so much out there to give us happiness. So much. And what happens after a while? Either we get tired with it, we take sorrow from it, we want to change it. So many things happen that creates a discomfort inside. So the same thing which is giving me happiness is also giving me sorrow. And so moving inside within the self is to find what you have, which you have never discovered before, and what you've been looking for. We've been looking everywhere for it. We have looked for happiness in everything that we see. We have looked for love in every human and animal kingdom. We've looked for love, someone to love me. So when I can't find human beings to love me, I can shift to anything. Whoever responds and whatever can respond to the love that I'm seeking, we move in that direction. So we're looking for peace. We're looking for happiness. We're looking for so many things. And as we keep looking for these things outside, my inner being, the soul, is still not remaining contented. The soul still remains inside discontented because something remains missing. I don't have it. And so I keep on expecting that someone will fulfill that emptiness inside of me. And the story goes on every day. And we continue to move in that cycle. But when I separate my consciousness from the outer and move internally, what would I discover? I don't need things. I don't need people. I don't need all that which I was holding on to bring me peace, love, and happiness. And this is why knowing the self as the soul, the light, recognizing that you are the light, what happens? You instantly start feeling that these qualities are your true nature of being. It is who I am. It is what I am. It is what I want to be. And I can only want to be that which I am. And when I am being that, how would I see everyone? So when God speaks, this is the language God will speak to us in. The language of the soul. The language of the being in each one's body. There is a being, there's the light, there's the soul that sits here. Just behind these eyes, I'm sitting there. And this being listens to that sound of God. And that's when transformation or change starts to happen. Because it comes from a very deep feeling that you're connecting with what is truth. You're connecting to what and who you are in a natural state of being, not whom I'm in conflict with. And actually, we are not in conflict with anyone. We're in conflict with ourselves, the darkness and the light, the justice and the injustice, the truth and the falsehood. So when the moment I move into that place of my own truth, there is no conflict anymore. It's as though I'm separated. I'm away from that which gives sorrow and pain. And that's when I start writing my new story, the story of my change, the story of returning back to who I am. So this is the time that God has to speak. And this is the time that we hear that and create new experiences in our lives. Yes? Where is everyone right now? Where do you feel you are at right now in time? Where you listen to God? Or do I have the free will to write my destiny? And then I look back at it and I wish I changed it. Where are you in time? Michelle, where are you in time?
Turn on that one. I know
The word churn means to think.
to think about that. Is that I've never been asked in that way, which I appreciate the question more than you know. At this moment, it's this is a special time for me. I have been in knowledge, if you will, for probably close to 8 years. I'm not a toddler anymore. And I saw this trajectory of real transformation in terms of where I am, where I look at things. In some ways, I notice a big change, but there are moments of late that I slip back because the world pulls me in, especially the way the world is doing it, based on we use the word sanskars, my background and what I've done for so many years as a profession. It does, although I'm very aware of it and but overall, I think I'm doing okay, all things considered, and I'm pretty happy. I can look at things differently now and pull out threads and see differently as opposed to just reacting. I am very aware of even my reactions. I can catch them even before I even say them. So I don't know if that answers the question, but I'm grateful for that knowledge and that ability. I'm blessed, something that I had sought out for many, many years as a devotee. But I think, and what I mean by a devotee is I always was a searcher for God. I was born as a Jew and I studied Judaism. I still do, but my understand and always sought God, always. And I always had a conversation with God since I was what I can remember, even at 5 years old, talking always, every night, and during the day and conversations. He was like my buddy. And but still more so, I think, even as things go on. And one thing I will say, and I'm sorry I'm taking too much time, but one of the things that I note is people call God only in sorrow. A lot of people do. Otherwise, we're happy. But for me, it's almost the opposite now. And that's one thing. I call God when I'm happy and things are well, like, "Ooh, thank you. This is great." That's when when things are not good, I don't look at God and say, "You did this, where are you?" It's the complete opposite. I usually contact God when things are great or when I'm grateful or when there's a change in me that I'm responding. I'm like, "Wow, thanks. That was cool, God. That was great." Not when things are bad. "Oh, God did this. I'm being punished." Never. That's a major. Does that make sense? That's a big change for me. I never, an act of God, I take umbrage with that term. No. That's not. God is only good. God only when I'm really happy, when I have tears of joy, is God's fault, so to speak, that I'm so happy. So
Anyone else has a thought to share? Donald, what are you thinking? Mm,
I know you said that God chooses not to interfere. We have free will. I think in most countries, the majority of people would say they believe in God. If that's the case. Why aren't most people happy?
mhm. Good question. And so everyone likes free will, right? That's the nature. Whether it's a little child, they also are looking for their own free will. And so everyone wants free will. But there is also a price for free will. We took advantage of that free will in the sense, I just did whatever I wanted. I want to give sorrow to someone. It's my free will to give sorrow. It's my free will to cause pain. It's my free will to do good or not to do good. Forgetting that there is a law behind that. And the law behind that is what I give will return back. It will come back to me. And so this is why God doesn't interfere. Because if he has to come to just clean up my acts, then pause and think, what about the other person that I gave sorrow to? And so we have to sort that karma out ourselves. But the technique now is a deep realization. And that is why this time, that when it's the time now for God to speak, and time would have to listen because time was speaking for a long time and God didn't interfere. And he's still not going to interfere, but what he does, he has to give education. He has to teach us. He has to give us some wisdom. And the wisdom he gives to us is, think that you're a peaceful soul. Now, if you start thinking you're a peaceful soul, you're a peaceful being of light, then you will not cause sorrow to anyone. You will not cause peacelessness to anyone. What you will give will only be of happiness. So that's when you start having a relationship with God. And so everyone could be praying to God, but if that connection, that receiving is not there, it's a one-way conversation to God. And that's what connects time. Because I'm just doing it, but there's no response. And the beautiful thing about meditation is there is a two-way. I talk to God, as Michelle says she does, talk to God, but then you get a response. And that response is what changes the way we think. And I could have free will, but in using that free will, I will only give happiness to others. I will not want to hurt anyone. Because that free will, I know that there is something that will come back to me. Make sense? Meditation is a way to talk to God. Meditation is a way because it's a connection. And meditation is where you're able to receive. Prayers is one way. God doesn't pray to me. God remembers me as his child. And I remember God as my father. So there is a connection. It's like you could be here in New York and you could be thinking of someone in a far distant land. And then what will happen? You could pick up the phone to call and they'll say, oh, but I was thinking of you. Or you will say, oh, I was just thinking about you. And so it's a connection. So when I think of God, God is living like all of us. But sometimes we think God is the universe. Okay, he's the universe. So then how do I connect? What do I receive? And this is why we say we are souls and God as the supreme soul. When I become peaceful, I can feel the peace of God. When I become loving and feel the love in myself, I can recognize God's love for me because it becomes an instant connection. It's like joining two wires together. If you only join one in the box, you wouldn't get power. Somehow or another, you have to make it in such a way both wires are connected. And what's interesting, when they are not connected, they're still live wires, but it wouldn't touch you, it wouldn't shock you. And once it's joined, you can't touch it. And so this is meditation. Meditation is these two wires have to join. I as a soul and God as the supreme soul. And that's the flow of power. Then that power gets distributed in anything and everything we do in life. Just like this power is distributed, this mic is working, the sound system is working, electricity is there, the air purifier is running, computers are, it's so many things in this home that power is distributed and everything is working. So in the same way, the power that we're receiving is being distributed in everything we're doing. That power is visible. And that's when, in that connection, that becomes God's power. And that's the strength, actually, that all of us are looking for. We're looking for that power that I shouldn't make mistakes that will give me sorrow, or continue to write my story of life that I know that it's going to bring me sorrow, but I don't have a choice, or I don't have the strength to do it, to change it, whatever are the reasons. It's time now for me to pause and ask myself, where am I and what am I doing at this point in time of my life? Because I cannot continue the same way. I cannot continue thinking the same way, doing the same things, and then I want peace and happiness. I want a world that is so peaceful and beautiful. When my contribution to the world is not of that quality. So we are waiting for God to come and do the work. I did whatever I wanted to do, and I said, oh God, come and clean it up. And that's why I'm saying God doesn't interfere. But when I go to him, when I go to that being as a child or in any friend or whatever you may choose, that being loves us so much that that being will respond to the beautiful feelings that I'm going to him with. He doesn't get involved in my karma of the past. He is present right now with me in responding to the feelings of my heart. And that experience is where I create the newness for myself. I start thinking differently, and I start using this body differently, and I start doing things differently. Or else I'm just operating based on time without thinking. Yes? Anyone else wants to share a thought on that?
I have always struggled and not been able to understand why God created all of this world, especially the way things are going. It just, uh, you know, being a parent or a caregiver, if you see your child going towards something that's dangerous, you immediately jump into action and pull it back because you know that if they're going to be going near that whatever dangerous thing is, they're going to suffer. And that's not a good thing. So I just wonder why couldn't he just keep us with himself and we could all be so happy? I cannot follow that.
Okay. Michelle, you have something to say?
Interesting. I go back to what I learned, and it's a valid question. I have to say, most people, I've heard that over and over throughout my life. But what I've always, it kind of ties in what you said, even in our scriptures, if you will, in Judaism. I never understood it, but now I do because of studying with you. Everything seems clearer. Even Adam and Eve with the apple. I never understood what the apple was, the knowledge. If we stayed with God in the garden, and you may not agree, but in the way it's written in the Hebrew scriptures, God made man, was the seventh day or the sixth day, I'm sorry, made man and then woman. And if they stayed with God and went completely with God, they would have stayed in the Garden of Eden. But they wanted to bite that apple. That is the knowledge. But what knowledge?
Knowledge of the body.
The knowledge of the body, the knowledge of not God, that spirit, it wasn't the spirit anymore. And the minute that bite, that's free will. And now and then, the shame, that's the body that separates you from God. And that's how I now look at it. And it now when I go back and read the scriptures, and I do, wow. But a lot of it is man's way of interpreting it too. God didn't write, I promise you, I could almost bet on it. I will bet on it. If I had a lot of money, I'd bet and I'd win. That God didn't write that. It's an interpretation, but there has to be something there because so many different spiritual, religious say the same thing. So there is that inherent knowledge that if we stayed with God in the spirit, we would be still in heaven. We would heaven being paradise, the Garden of Eden.
But then there would not have been a cycle. There would not
There
have
would
been
not have
time.
been a cycle. It was meant
Then
to be
time
too.
would not exist.
Right.
Time would
Right.
not exist, but time is there, right?
Right.
We can look back in time. Okay, you can go back in time, 1,000 years, 2,000 years, 5,000 years. You can
And it
look back
happened.
in time.
And
And
it
so
happened.
time speaks,
Cyclical and it will
Yes.
happen again.
Time
Okay.
goes on and it doesn't stop. But, however, this is the moment in time that you can choose, not the old thinking of free will, but a free will where you create that which is going to uplift you, which is going to change the way I think. But if I'm going to sit with this thought, but God, why did you allow all of these things to happen? You know, I'm a mother and I will not allow my child to do wrong things. Now, why did you allow me to fall into sorrow and pain? Did God allowed me to do that? I wanted free will. So if God has to speak now to you and say, child, it's time for you to remember me, for you to think of me, for you to be more peaceful, for you to do all these beautiful things. Don't give sorrow, but only give happiness. Would you be able to listen to him? Would you be able to do it? So think this is what that highest parent, think that this is what this being is asking of us as children now. Right. And it's now more about receiving from the one, taking from the one, receiving from the one, being with the one. Because the more I am receiving, you will find how the receiving is transforming all aspects of life. Things will not be same. So this moment, I could see everything as dark and, you know, getting so upset with the world. Leave it. Just move inside. Move in your own inner space, and the world is on its own. That world will operate according to time, but you will not operate according to time. You will operate, you will do what you have to do by listening to what the one will have to tell you. Right. Right.
I just want to go and be in peace.
Right. So that's the calling.
Yeah, and
That's
I try
what
to
is the
spend,
calling of the soul
Yeah.
to connect with God.
I try to spend as much time as I can just sitting silently and remembering him and beseeching him that please, please call me back.
So let's have a couple of minutes of meditation. And then if we have time, we can play a song. So let's sit comfortably and relax. And there is a very deep sense of acceptance within. It's an acceptance of knowing that there is past, present, and future. The knowing that my present is because of my past. But most important is the knowing that I have a choice to create the most beautiful future in this present. The more I'm consciously aware of myself in being the truth, in experiencing the light, and being in the company of the Supreme Light. What I'm creating for myself is that which is most beautiful. That's the Garden of Eden. It is not that God creates it for me, but He gives me the wisdom to create my thoughts, my words, and my actions in the most elevated and beautiful way. Can I share good wishes and pure feelings with the souls who are in need, who are desperate, even those who may insult me or defame me? Can my heart be so big enough to still give? The more I give, it's a natural forgiveness. It's a natural relationship. And it is these experiences that brings me close to God. It is these experiences that helps me to listen to God and to understand the language of God. It's the language of silence, the language of love, the language of deep wisdom. And so I understand time. I recognize time. But in this moment, God is the Almighty authority. We can listen to our song.
You whisper all the secrets. You say it's just a play. You are the one, unchanging, the light that shows the way. You never take a birth. No time can make you fade. Beyond the earth, beyond the sky, your love will never change. Oh, we remember who we are. We shine, we are stars, we are souls, playing out our roles in this eternal drama. Life goes on and on. Our silence home is far beyond. We go there at the end. No two souls are ever the same. That's why there's no one to blame. It's just a game that we play. Yet all belong to you. Each a spark, a sacred flame. Oh, we remember who we are. We shine, we are stars, we are souls, playing out our roles in this eternal drama. Life goes on and on. Our silence home is far beyond. We go there at the travel to our silence home with you, our lovely friend. Now we know, now we see, we souls are free.
Om Shanti. And thank you very much.
Thank you, sister. Very sweet, sweet evening. With a good taste in it. That's no. Om Shanti, everyone. So next week, hope to see you. Thank you, Sister Anjani. Delightful evening. Thank you, Brother Eric, your work. And thank you, Supreme Soul, for making this possible. Next month, yay, it's April. And the topic for the month is the cycle of life. So hope we'll see you again next week. And Zoomers, thank you also for joining us. And please stay for Toli, which is sweet and blessed. Om Shanti.